So today, guys, we have Coach Ryan Wheeler from St. Joe's going into your 6th year there down at St. Joe's, right?
Yeah.
Head recruiting coordinator, associate head coach, official title.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
Right.
And then, going back to the beginning a little bit, do you start at Penn?
I started my coaching career at the College of William & Mary.
Oh, that's okay. I know that was in there for.
Spent 9 years there, 9 seasons. 3 as volunteer, 6 as a paid assistant coach, and then from there I moved on to Penn for a season, and then back down south to the University of Richmond for 5 years, and then came back north to Temple University where I was the head coach, and now I jumped across the river to St. Joe's.
And then, obviously, Richmond is where he became a family friend of the Cowells. So,
yes.
So anyway, the idea here was just to get some information out. I think a lot of people, with the effects of the coronavirus, from the recruiting side, the high school guys coming into college, the guys who are looking to go to showcases to maybe be seen, and then even some information for the current college players. Just thought, you're one of the top brains in the business. So, did a list of questions. We'll kind of just run through them, but ideally this is just to get some information out to the guys who are wondering what to do, and even maybe address questions that there aren't answers to yet that people maybe are waiting for. So first one we got is, how are you approaching the extra year of eligibility with your players? Will you be likely to cut money for recruits or pull offers?
So the extra year with players, it's got to be handled in 2 different ways. First of all, the players that were seniors this year, that this was their last year of eligibility, they have the option to come back, and they do not count against our roster limit of 35, and their scholarship money that they were on does not count towards our equivalency of 11.7. So they're handled a little bit differently in that they're kind of like extra players, but extra players that we've had 3-4 years with. So we know a lot about them, and not all of them, decided to come back. It's been a real tough choice for a lot of them because, some of them have been ready to move on. They have jobs lined up, and that dilemma of whether to give up that job opportunity right now or come back and play their last year of college baseball is something that they're working through right now. So they're on one side, but then you've got the rest of the players on your roster who, if you had more than just this year of eligibility left, you now fall under our roster limit of 35 that we've got to manage. And so, and for those guys, the scholarship dollars, we have to manage the equivalency or the 11.7 scholarships that we have to work with. So those players, they've got to make some decisions too. They just have a little bit longer because they were coming back, had extra years to play, or had another year to play, and now they've got this extra one. And I would say that, right now it sounds like everybody wants to use the extra year. But as we get going into playing again and back on campus and stuff, I think those things will change with the players. Do I think some of them are going to use it? Yes. Do I think all of them are going to use it? No, I do not. So, not knowing just how players are going to handle it, whether they want to use it or not, what we may need for our program, and changes we need to make, that's going to affect what drives recruiting moving forward.
Got it. I didn't write this one down, but just thinking about what have you, or do you see, and this is a what if question, do you think there might be some guys who, I don't know if those jobs were guaranteed, because with all the unemployment, could there be guys who maybe change? Is there a deadline that they have to decide by yet, or?
You know, I've not spoken to each one of them individually about that question. I've talked to all of them, but not asked them per se, you know, hey, what if this job falls through, things like that. But I think that's a distinct possibility that, you know, they think, you know, look, I'm going to move on. I'm going to get started with my career. I've got this job. Times are tough. I better take what I got, and it could get cut. And then they may come and say, look, I want to come back. And in that case, for us, once again, it's like it's a bonus. We can have them back. It will affect the younger players in the program that have maybe been waiting their time. There's certainly some of the incoming players that we've got arriving on campus in August. It may backlog them a little bit. We may have to redshirt some guys, but you know, that's a distinct possibility that some of them could come to us in July and say, "Hey, I want to come back."
Come back, yeah. Got it. Let's see. What effect will the shutdown have on college baseball for the next 1 to 2 years? Kind of a broad question.
Yeah, I think we're once again, like anything else, we're waiting to see. We don't have a ton of answers, but I think one side that will be affected will be on the budget side. Universities having to refund money for room and board, maybe even in some cases tuition. The enrollment numbers may be down. Those are things that all drive athletic budgets. You know, the NCAA tournament, the basketball being eliminated, talks of college football in some ways being eliminated. Those are big money makers, and so that sort of stuff is going to affect budgets. You know, I know part of the discussion right now in the Northeast between the Big East, the Atlantic 10, and the Colonial Athletic Conference is to look at going more regional with sort of our play and maybe eliminating conference affiliations for the sport. And say, for example, you know, St. Joe's, we may be in a division that has Delaware, LaSalle, and Lehigh, Lafayette, maybe Ryder, and you know, we would that would be our sort of conference league, so to speak. And you know, there may be different divisions. There's been things put together and different proposals out there that would certainly change the look of college baseball. It's gaining some traction, but by no means yet is it anywhere close to being improved. But I think people are starting to think about, hey, how can we do things differently to save money so that we can save our sport? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, and I experienced this at Temple University, where the program is not, everything's about money.
Mm-hmm. So, it's a business, yeah.
It's a business, and so I think the fear for sports, you know, other than football or basketball, is that okay, we don't generate revenue with our sports. How can we cut back on costs so that the university doesn't look at us and say, okay, we've got to eliminate that sport?
Right. Well,
you know, I think some of the stuff with college baseball is still evolving, and it will play out over, you know, the next several months and year. But there's maybe some things that we're not even thinking about. But I think the biggest thing is with regard to the budgets and just how much we travel and the conference affiliations. You may see some different things there that are different than what it's been in the past.
Got it. Like everyone else is doing right now, tightening up budgets. It's universal. Let's see. I'll kind of, you know, stick with the college situation, and then kind of maybe jump into more of the high school guys and what, you know, what they can be doing now. A question, and this actually came up yesterday with Jack O'Reilly, you know, who's at Notre Dame, the summer league placements. He's kind of a little lost right now because he's waiting to hear. Same idea that I think the host family thing is a big deal, you know, so just any insight you have there with, you know, what you've heard from summer league perspective.
It appears as if more and more summer leagues are moving towards canceling. Like you said, with the host family situation, that's where a lot of the leagues, how they operate, and it's a great experience for the players, for the families that are hosting these guys. It makes it very affordable then for the players to come to those areas of the country and play. But with that fear of the virus and stuff going, that these leagues are canceling.
Yeah.
And, so what it's doing is it's leaving a lot of guys without places to play. I know that there are a number of people talking about organizing leagues because this year there's going to be more players than ever looking to play since the spring season as well. Typically, a good number of players want to play in the summer, but injuries, internships, academic pieces, they come into play and guys take a break and they don't play. But this year with nobody playing, everybody wants to get out.
Right.
So, more local organizers are trying to put things together for college leagues because there's just so many guys looking to play that, there may be opportunities to play more locally and be able to stay at home, but still get your games in, get your innings in on the mound, which would be great. But once again, we're all kind of waiting for fields to open up and, when can we get back out there? So nothing's really been finalized. So just like, Jack, most of our players are kind of sitting in limbo. Some of them were going to leagues that have been canceled. Others have just been delayed right now until maybe July 1st. So they're still hopeful they're going to get a chance to go out. But, we'll kind of figure it out as we go, like we're doing with everything else in this whole situation.
I hear you.
We're going to need to play. So,
yeah. No, I know that's, as you know, as a former player, you get that worry the longer you go without it live at bat and all that. Am I falling behind? Am I losing it a little?
Right.
So there's probably, obviously this leads into the psychological effects that everybody's dealing with this thing that, with their skill work and all that, if they can't, get on
there's only
fields.
so much drill work that you can do. I mean, it's good if, and maybe it leads into kind of what are guys doing right now? What are our college guys doing? The best they can is the answer that I give. I mean, they're some of them are in areas where going out to an open field, you can't even do that. So playing catch in their backyard or in the street is the best they can do. Trying to get to the cage or field to be able to hit is tough, and they're not able to even do that. So guys are just adjusting and doing the best they can based on whatever situation. And, I can understand how the mental side is creeping in of, all right, am I sharp? Am I on my game like I should be? No, you're probably not. Let's face it. Practicing is one thing, but the game is completely different. And so you just have to play the game. But right now there's no games to be played, and I'm not sure when we're going to be able to. So you just got to do the best you can.
Keep in mind that even if you feel like you're falling behind, so is everybody else. So at least it's an even playing field.
Exactly. That's exactly
with that. So, but I know being up in the Northeast, you always used to feel like with the weather, wow, these guys down south are getting outside, they're getting more live at bats sooner. But at least this time it's across the board, unfortunately. But
same in the South as it is up north. Yeah.
Right. So
I think that's the frustrating part right now for guys up in the north. We made it through the winter. It was relatively snow-free. It sounds like the Poconos may get some tomorrow,
which is crazy.
But no, it's been a great winter. It's been cold of late, but we know the weather's going to get better. This is the time of year that we're really getting excited to be outside and to play the game, not be wearing gloves or a hat or freezing. So to be on lockdown, so to speak, and not be able to just go out to a field and practice or play a game, it's frustrating. I think it's starting to wear on.
Yeah.
As well as coaches.
I was going to say coaches too. Get Nancy. I guess let's see with that. I know there's a lot of them, but what would you say? What has been the biggest challenge from the coaching perspective through all this?
Well, look, from a personal standpoint, I've never been home in the spring as much as I've been home now. I think this is the first time since I've been about 7 years old that I have not been playing baseball or been on the field in the spring. So it's been a huge adjustment from that standpoint because it's all I know. It's all
Yep.
I've ever done. I think as coaches, we're teachers. We want to help. And the best way to do that is to be able to interact with the players and be able to work with them. So for me, not being around the guys and having a chance to help them get better. We communicate by, we do Zoom calls. They send me some video clips of them hitting or throwing or doing something. And I try to respond and call them on the phone or talk to them, but it's just not the same as physically being with them to help them. So, that piece has been very challenging because I just, you want to help, and that's why you coach. And so that part is tough. I think from the players' end, obviously not playing, not being around the guys. When we do a team Zoom call, it's great to see everybody's face and stuff. And then we get off the call, and there's like a part of you that says, geez, like I'm not around the guys, and I know they feel the same way. It's like I'm not in the locker room. We're not hanging out off the field. But I think they're missing each other and the camaraderie that you get from being together. So those are some of the things that really jump out to me from, what's going on and the parts that we're dealing with.
Right.
And then obviously there's the recruiting side of things, and I guess we'll get into talking about that here. But there's other stuff, but just not being on the field, not being around the guys.
Yeah,
that's been the toughest part for me.
Yeah, I think that always goes back to when you stop playing and all that. You miss being with the guys and stuff. So it's
so I think a lot of coaches may use the statement that you never know when it's going to be your last game.
True.
And if I've heard it once, I've heard it several times from some of our players that said, when you guys say that, it doesn't really resonate, or it didn't really resonate with me. Now I get it. Like, this came about so suddenly.
Right.
We literally went from flying back from Florida, 48 hours later, our season's canceled. They understand what that means now and how fast it can be taken away. And so hopefully there's a greater appreciation when we do get back that, man, have the opportunity to do this is awesome. And I'm going to take every opportunity to give it my all every day, which they should be doing anyway. But look, let's face it, that doesn't always happen. So hopefully there's just a greater appreciation for the team and the time that we've got coming together.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that because usually you experience that when your last game and you're like, oh my gosh, until it actually happens, you really understand it. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise to
we try to keep finding the positives out of all this.
No, that's what you can do, right?
Right.
But I'd say now we could probably jump into more from the recruiting side with guys who are have probably lots of plans for showcase teams and tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say maybe I know the first part that I've always found is the hardest to keep up with, and hopefully parents are watching this as well. The changes to the recruiting schedule as far as like communication, what you can do, can't do, because I know that's changed a little bit. And then maybe you can kind of jump into what guys can do to as best they can right now.
Sure.
Waiting.
When this started back in the middle of March, the NCAA came out, a week or so, maybe 2 weeks after this got underway. There were certain situations and questions that were coming about from, a lot of different coaches across the country. And they put out, it was like a 10-page sort of update, so to speak, on what you can do, what you can't do during this time. Just the other day, we had a compliance meeting with our athletic department. The document's now up to 39 pages. So it seems like every week there are different things that come out with regard to, recruiting, what we're allowed to like that. And it's just something it's just never been tackled before. So what I can tell you specifically from the baseball side is this. You know, right now we're still only allowed well, first of all, we're in a dead period, which means that we are not allowed to go out and watch, any players do anything. We're also not allowed to have any players on campus. And right now, I think most universities, the campuses are shut down anyway, and they won't be coming. But no face-to-face contact is what basically the dead period means. That is going to be that goes through till May 30th. The NCAA is meeting next week to discuss whether that dead period is going to be lifted or whether it's going to be extended. I would say in the last 5 days, I've gotten a number of calls from a lot of coaches from travel teams and things like that asking my opinion. I have a feeling it's going to be extended a little bit into June. How long, I don't know, but I just have a feeling with where the country's at and everything that we're seeing on TV, whether you believe in it or not, I just feel like it's going to be extended. Some parts of the country are starting to open, but other parts are not. And it would be a competitive advantage if those states were allowed to do some stuff while others of us are still stuck at home. So I think the NCAA will blanket everybody and say, look, you need to just stay at home for other reasons as well, not just the competitive advantage. But so that may continue into the summer, which is going to affect, the tournaments and the showcases and stuff. Those tournaments and showcases could certainly still be run. There just may not be any college coaches there to watch. But at least people might be out playing baseball again and back in the field. But with regard to other stuff that we can do, like we can watch videos right now, kids. If they send us stuff, in an email, we can certainly watch the videos. We are allowed to reach out to rising seniors, or seniors, 2020 graduates, juniors, 2021 graduates, sophomores and freshmen, 2022 graduates, 2023 graduates. We cannot initiate contact with them. They can send us an email. I can respond with, "Thank you, got your email," but at this time we can't discuss, any recruiting
Even further. Yeah.
stuff. So that stuff has not changed. Like I said, the watching if they send us a video though, we can watch it, and I can make notes. I can log those notes and things like that. But I can't really discuss recruiting. 2022 and 2023 graduates can reach out to us with a phone call, but we usually arrange those phone calls and things like that if we want to speak to those guys. I don't like giving out my cell phone number to everybody. Or else I'd be on 24 hours a day. But otherwise, will the recruiting calendar change? That's the question I get. So for those people that aren't aware, baseball is really in the last 2 years started to implement a recruiting calendar that's cut back on the number of days that we can go out and watch players. We have made the proposal, or we've discussed with our athletic director about amending that calendar and basically taking all the restrictions off because we're losing so much time here that we would normally get in the spring, and it may extend into the summer. Look, whenever this is over, we need to be able to go, without any restrictions whatsoever. That's not been addressed or discussed because there's so many bigger problems to deal with. But when that time comes, hopefully we're free to just kind of go for as long as we need to go. But I think the big thing coming right now is next week as to whether the dead period is extended or not, because that'll sort of dictate how much longer we're going to be in this or which direction we can kind of go.
Right. And I guess would there be, once things do start, I guess the hard part too is, giving guys time to kind of ramp back up. You don't want to jump in and try to hit 90 on the radar gun when you haven't thrown off a mound and stuff. So giving people time to kind of get back to.
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day, well, if the dead period is finished May 30th, are you going to go out June 1st? And I said, well, who am I going to go see? And,
Right.
you know, is anybody really ready to go play June 1st? Probably not. So, you know, guys are going to need time to get themselves back in shape and build back up. You know, because not everybody's able to do the same thing. And then there is the fear of, you know, you don't want guys to go out there and get hurt just for the sake of performing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think guys are going to need at least 2 weeks probably to just get back into game shape form.
Yeah.
So you got to add 2 weeks on to, you know, whenever this is kind of lifted and you can get going.
Yeah.
Guys to get back in shape. But I do expect that when we go out and evaluate guys, we're going to have to look at them differently and just take into consideration that, all right, we can kind of shut down for a while.
Might be a little rusty.
Yeah, yeah, maybe he's not at the top of his game, but we still see some things there.
Right. I would say it. Oh, close. You probably at this point, you know, you could tell from just the way they move and stuff. That's probably more right away what catches your eye versus the metrics are
Sure.
a little off than what we thought
yeah.
they would be and stuff. So it's not.
For sure.
I would be curious. You know, my thought would be because you guys lost days in the fall, right? Didn't that change? I would think.
Well, it's. I wouldn't say we've lost days. It's just framed differently.
Okay.
So in the past, we basically counted weeks that we had available, and then within those weeks, you know, you had 6 days available. Now it's you have a 45-day window to get in the number of days that you have available in the fall. So basically, for college baseball, we have 132 days that we can use from the time we start school until the very last day of the conference tournament. And what you do is you basically count back from the conference tournament to figure out how many days you're going to use in the spring and whatever's left. Typically 27, 28 days. That's what you have in the fall. And, you know, you would go maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks in the fall. And if you got rain or you had a fall break in there or something, well, then you may lose days. Now they put the 45-day window in and they say, okay, you can get your 28 days in wherever you want. So if you want to go 3 days a week for 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, you know, go ahead. If you want to go 6 days a week for 4 weeks, whatever you want to do. And this way, if you get rain or there's a fall break or things come up, you have time to adjust so that you still get all of your time. Once again, we have talked to our athletic director about adjusting that fall and saying, hey, look, when we come back, let us go longer. It doesn't cost any more money to have us practice.
Right.
We've lost all this development time with our players. It would be nice if we could get some of it back and not be constrained to the 28 days that we have. Mm-hmm. Let us have 40 days or 45 days or something like that.
Would you see almost a conflict in the sense of trying to make up time with your team and your players, but also I'm guessing if things open up again, the fall is going to be a huge recruiting time because of the summer season got cut out. So now you're trying to do everything all at once in a way.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And once we've talked about that, and you know, something else that we think or would love to see happen is that they allow the volunteer assistant coach to be able to go out and recruit so that you can put more guys out on the road. So you still have, you know, enough coaches at practice to work with your current players, but yet you've got somebody that can go out and still find the players for your future. So these are all things that, you know, the NCAA and are going to have to address, but they have so many other things on their plate right now that these are down the list. But these are some of the things that we'd like to see happen.
Yep. Just out of curiosity, if it leads to a tangent, cut me off here. But how do they make those decisions? Do they have you guys vote? They give, you know, or is it kind of a mystery, like a odds behind the curtain a little bit?
Well, sometimes it's a mystery as to why they voted certain ways. But no, a lot of the rules and legislation is either driven by the sport and coaches associations or the conferences. And, for example, we talked earlier about, moving to more of a regional play type situation. This is something that we had proposed to RAD. She in turn talked to the Atlantic 10 and the athletic directors amongst the Atlantic 10. A lot of them seem to be in favor of it. It kind of moved to the Big East and the Colonial. Coach Penders from UConn had made a similar proposal in the Big East, so that's where it was gaining traction. And so the conferences then pushing this agenda sort of go onto the NCAA and say, hey, here's something that we're looking at and considering. We'd like to get on the table to be voted on. In a normal situation, it takes a little bit of time for legislation to come up and to be voted on. I think in these times, we're seeing things move a little quicker.
That's good.
Because it's different, and there's going to be adjustments that need to be made.
Right.
So, but that's typically how it works. It's driven by the sport, coaches associations, and the conferences to get to the NCAA level.
Yeah, very good. Kind of circling back to the high school recruits with the videos, or is there anything you guys recommend at this time, or is it almost kind of a like, hey, just work out right now, don't try to make a video in your backyard of me hitting, and it's the value there is somewhat limited, I would think.
Right, it is. And I mean, whether we were in a time where we are able to just be out doing whatever we normally do, or whether we're during this time, the video, we do not sign guys off of videos. And I say that cautiously because we may be getting to that point.
That could be.
Or how we have to figure out who can play or not. But right now, all the video does is, or what you want the video to do is to get us out of our chair to come see you play. There's something on the video that makes us say, you know what, I like what I'm seeing with this guy swing, or late throws, or actions in the infield. I need to go see this guy play. And so if you have the ability to film something like that, 3 to 5 minutes, great. But I don't need to see guys, doing push-ups in their driveway, or, the creativity with some of the drills is great, but that's not necessarily going to make me want to come see you play once the restrictions have been lifted. So, yeah, if your game's not in A+ shape, or not even in A+ shape, if you're just not where you normally are and you feel like your game's behind, then maybe don't send out a video.
Right.
It can work the other way too. We can look and say,
cross that name off, because.
But don't try to take it too far and think that this is the best video I've ever made, and we're going to sign guys off of this video.
Right.
Not really the intent of it. So.
Got it. Good. It's more from the parent side. Is there, and kind of go back to the NCAA rules, is there places they can go to see updates on stuff, or is it kind of trickles down?
Yeah, I mean, NCAA.org is the official website of college athletics, and there's information on there. I don't typically go there myself. D1 Ticker, if you follow that on Twitter, that's one that's really good with sort of giving updates on various rules and things that are going on. D1 Baseball is another good group to follow on Twitter. Kendall Rogers does a really good job and sort of being up to speed. He's like the Adam Schefter of college baseball. He used to know those rules and things coming down the pipe. So, between the website for the NCAA, those couple of Twitter groups to follow, that's probably the best place to get your information. But it's a little hard to come by at times, and
Right.
you know, understanding exactly what the rules mean. I mean, there's things that I don't even understand. I have to call our compliance guy to say, what exactly is this rule saying?
Right.
The language they use and stuff can be a little bit tricky.
Got it.
So those are the best ways.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. I guess just in closing, because this will probably get to more high school players. Any closing thoughts of if your son was a high school player, being a college coach, here's what I would be doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's limited, but any thoughts on whatever?
Ironically, I do have a high school player in my house.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm getting old. I can't believe it.
It's okay. Look, I'll tell you, it's been tough. He's a sophomore, and I think when the high school season or school was canceled here in Pennsylvania, and he knew there was not going to be any more high school season, the motivation to go out and continue to work was, he lost it for a little bit. We just were talking last night, and he said, when do you think we're going to play? And I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know where that light is at the end of the tunnel. So it's been hard, and so to try to answer that question, what can guys do now? I mean, once again, do the best you can. We go to the field, a few times a week. We're trying to throw, keep your arm in shape, get our swings in. The weekend was nice. We kind of hit on the field a little bit, which was different than doing drill work in the cages. Even playing some other sports. I know him and I and my other kids, we've been playing a lot of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I've been channeling my inner Michael Jordan from The Last Dance a lot during those games with these guys. But we've been throwing the football. I mean, just doing anything to stay busy, stay athletic. All that stuff can lend itself to baseball and mixes it up. I mean, I love baseball, but to be honest, going to the field and just hitting in the cage there, it gets a little monotonous.
Gets old. Yep.
So just have fun with it. But you touched on it earlier. Right now, everybody's in the same boat, and I don't know that any one person is getting ahead of somebody else. The only people that are getting ahead or that are falling behind are the people that are doing nothing.
Right.
And so you got to do something.
Yep.
And be creative. Do the best you can with it. But I know one of the things that you and I have talked about, and that I've kind of been asked, is how is all of this going to impact the recruiting classes for the future? And I kind of touched on it a little bit, but maybe didn't get into as much detail. So, for example, the 2021 class, 2022 class, how are they going to be impacted by this? I mean, to be honest, they're going to be crunched a little bit because we're going to get backlogged with our roster, guys taking the extra year, and we may have had 8 juniors that we were thinking were going to graduate here next year. Well, we may only have 4 of them now that are going to move on. So we went from 8 to 4 spots. So that's going to limit the number of opportunities coming in the door. And so there'll be a little bit of a trickle-down effect for the other classes. Beyond that, like the 2024 class, they could benefit because there could be, for example, we're going to have 16 players on our roster next fall that are going to have 4 years of eligibility. I've never had that before in any program that I've been in, and there's other programs that have more than that, 20, 22 players with 4 years of eligibility.
Right.
Well, at some point, those guys are all going to leave. So
it's gonna be a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah, a lot of holes.
Yeah.
So, I've been asked, is it wise to take a gap year as a high school player?
Right.
There's pros and cons to it. It's something to consider and to look at. I can't say whether it's the right thing to do for everybody. Some people have asked about going to junior college. It's better to go to junior college for a year or two and delay sort of going to junior college, the 4-year schools. Once again, the situation's got to be right. And just recognize that you're not the only person that's thinking about going to junior college. Their rosters are backed up. And so and they typically don't have roster limits. So instead of 38 or 39 guys, they may be having 47 or 48 guys.
Right.
Now the playing time is really limited, and it sort of defeats the purpose. From the cost standpoint, it does help out because usually, typically, junior colleges are cheaper, but you want to make sure that you're taking classes that are going to transfer, to a place that you eventually want to wind up. So it's really kind of hard to say what is the right thing to do because everybody's situation is different.
Right.
And I think you just need to take into account a lot of different factors, finances, where you're at from a development standpoint, athletic ability, your academic standards, understanding where you're at there, and sort of factor those things in on making your decision. And then just come to the realization and come to grips with the fact that this is unfortunate. It stinks. Opportunities may be limited, but life goes on, and there will be opportunities out there.
Right.
It'll be a little harder to come by.
Yeah. I guess in the end too, it's you're gonna have to earn it, and it might be a little more competitive, which is that's
right.
That's going to happen eventually anyway. When depending how far you want to go, but so but I guess maybe from a coaching perspective, that could be a benefit that you'll have. Maybe you're having a bigger pool of talent than you normally have. So guys are really going to have to work hard and earn a spot that maybe wasn't. Maybe a spot that was going to be there isn't, and it's not a given anymore.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because usually there's a panic that goes on because you feel like you're missing out on players because the recruiting happens so fast. I think now the panic for me is, am I going to have enough time to see these guys? And,
right.
Or am I just going to have to go out and make a one-shot sort of decision on a guy when he's not sharp, he's not in shape, it's not, So there's a different kind of panic that's setting in with us now, or at least for me. So I think the last couple of weeks I've tried to give up on figuring out when I'm going to be back out or how I'm going to beat the system. And it is what it is. I gotta wait, be patient, and watch videos, answer emails, talk to coaches like you, gather information, and then when we hit it, we'll get out and do the best we can with finding the guys that we